It's Saturday, the 24th of May. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the BLANCOLIRIO channel, and I'm out here in the beautiful, well, just east of the Sierra Nevada mountains, here in Northern California at the 6,000 foot elevation with the Husky. More on that in a minute, but I got to make a major correction and retraction on the video that I made about the Cessna Citation crash in San Diego. And as mentioned in the comment section, and as I pinned at the top of the comment section, I was wrong regarding the legality of the approach that pilot was flying. Most Citation jets are a Category C aircraft when it comes to instrument procedures and what minimums you fly and which approaches are authorized for your aircraft. However, this particular Citation in this crash is a Category B Bravo aircraft. So remember, that instrument approach had Category A and B, but Category C and D was not authorized. So technically this crew was legal for this approach. So when I mentioned in that video that they were not legal for that approach, that was wrong. That was my mistake, and I got to retract that. A couple more items have come up since the initial video. The pilot was operating as a single pilot operation. He had his friend in the right seat who was not a rated pilot. Still not clear on the number of fatalities that were involved in this crash at this time. Another minor point is that the ILS approach was NOTAMed out of service, so the crew did not have the ILS at their disposal to give them positive vertical guidance into the Montgomery airfield. Now let's take a closer look at these NOTAMs for Montgomery Field at the time of the accident. Here's the NOTAM for the ILS, runway 28 right, glide path unserviceable, so the glide path guidance of the ILS was unserviceable. Therefore, your localizer only regarding the ILS approach. Then there's a couple other obscure NOTAMs for towers. And then here's another one that's going to be a consideration for this particular accident. Runway 28 right, RAILGTU/S. Runway alignment indicator light unserviceable, and there's the date and time period, which includes the date and time period for the accident. Now, deciphering these NOTAMs requires either a lot of general knowledge or a massive reference of abbreviations that can be found online, but these NOTAMs are not easily understood in plain English in a short notice sort of situation. So here's a video from Ron's Flight Sim Lab of his latest real-world night landing into Montgomery Field, runway 28 right, and it shows us this runway alignment lighting system. It's this blinking light that aligns you with the runway that is apparently NOTAMed in op. And in foggy conditions, this blinking light is a great indicator to initially pick up on in your effort to find the end of the runway. Now, you cannot descend below minimums based on that light alone. You have to have the entire runway environment or a portion of the runway environment in sight. The lights that the pilot was desperately trying to power up with his clicking at the last moment on his approach were these runway identifier lights. These lights over here on the right are a visual slope indicator light that once you acquire visually will help you remain on the proper glide slope. And here's what it looks like on the instrument approach plate. You got this A.5 down here. Here's the A.5 in the medium intensity approach lighting system indicated up here. If we go to the chart supplement legend, here's your A.5 over here, medium intensity approach lighting system. Here's your green lights, your white lights, and the rail or the runway alignment indicator lights, sequenced flashing lights. This is the portion of the lighting system that is NOTAMed in op. So in Part 91 operations, this does not preclude you from shooting the approach, but yet it's another hole in the Swiss cheese. And investigators will be looking at the VNAV capability of that particular Citation to determine exactly what minimums he was shooting for this approach. But nevertheless, he was well below minimums when the pilot struck the wires on final there at Montgomery Field just a few days ago. Just a tragic tragic crash. Thank you so much for your support, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. The other correction, they were cleared to 3,800 feet at Nesty, not the published 3,600 feet. So 2 big mistakes on that previous video. So this particular location here at the 6,000 foot elevation, speaking of stacking the odds against you, that's why I'm here this morning in the Husky. I'm here bright and early in the morning before the wind picks up. The wind's already piping up a little bit, with light on fuel and otherwise perfect weather conditions, and I'm refreshing myself on the operations here at this particular airstrip and checking the length of the grass. Tall grass can be a real problem for takeoff performance. It's great for landing performance, stopping, but it can be a real problem for takeoff. But we've checked it out, and we're off in well less than half of the 1,000 foot strip here. But it is uphill a little bit and downhill that way, so you do want to land uphill, which means you're going to take off downhill with a little bit of a tailwind. So this was a 1,000 acre Dixie fire blew through here. Correction, 1 million acre Dixie fire blew through here several years ago and left this little tiny green oasis. Well, there's a few green trees left right there as fire crews work to save this particular location, as it's a great location for helicopter crews to operate and fire crews, as there's plenty of room out here on the airfield. And here you can see some of the huge burned up timber piled up over here in giant piles. So don't stack the odds against you. Thank you for your support. See you here.